Hello and good evening, welcome and possibly morning, depending on whereabouts you are. I've just decided just to pop up just to do a quick chat about the power of the now. So I have listened to a few people on YouTube, etc., and they have some interesting outlooks on how to get your now going on. And when I say getting your now going on, what I'm referring to is people are still living in the past. So you might say, well, what do you know about living in the past? Well, tomorrow I can say, yesterday I lived in the past. I lived in the past the day before that, or whatever it is that you try to reframe it. So my name's Carl, and I am an NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming Coach, and I also deal in divorce and separation, and I also do hypnosis as well. Not like the stage type that you see, and people have this belief that you're going to start jumping up and cluck, cluck, quack, quack, and all that sort of stuff. Sadly, no, that's not the type of hypnosis or hypnotherapy that I do. It is the one that helps you get through phobias, fears, try to lose weight, try to give up smoking. So the usual kind of traps we end up in through our lives. But the topic of today is where are you right now? So, like I said, I've listened to a few YouTubers, and I definitely won't knock anything that people say, because we all have our own perception on how we obtain the now and how we get rid of the luggage that we carry around in our subconscious. Now, you may not believe that you have anything going on in your mind. I pretty much guarantee that you have, and you've probably forgotten about it. But every now and again, something may trigger it and you don't even realize it. So when I say trigger it, it could be a smell. You can go into a restaurant and suddenly you get a smell that reminds you of something some years ago. Could have been even more recent than that, or it could be further back in your past. So that triggers bring back a memory, and it could be a good memory or a bad memory. So if it's a bad memory, of course, it's going to affect your mood. It's going to affect many things at that point in time. So what we need to do is get rid of the memories, okay, especially these bad ones. Now, when we talk about the now, what we want to do is get you in the now, in the good present, right? Here, now, we want to be better than we have been, because we haven't been able to achieve something, because something's been holding us back. Sometimes we know what it is that's holding us back. Sometimes we just have no idea. So that's what NLP does. NLP looks at you right now, talks to you, not literally the NLP talks to you, but the coach will talk to you and try to define what it is that's stopping you going forward. Because most of us will sit there, stand there, or whatever, and we ponder, why are we not getting what we want? Why haven't we moved forward? So it's not as strange as you think, because you can struggle wondering what it is, and just a chat to someone about it, a little bit of research and into your subconscious, usually we can come up with the answer to that. Most of the time, you know. Most of the time you say to yourself that I'd love to be able to, go from a blue collar worker to a white collar worker, as in going from being the lackey around a garage to being the manager of the garage, to be the supervisor of Sainsbury's, should you wish. So we have these ambitions to go forward, but we never seem to be able to go forward. And we start looking around at people pointing fingers and, mentally deciding to blame other people. And the fact is, it's you. You need to take responsibility for your own actions. You need to take responsibilities for progressing in life. So instead of pondering and not getting anywhere, what we're going to do is look at why. Why can we not achieve what we want to achieve? Right, and we hold our own selves back. So what we have to do is we can sit there, we can write down a list of things that seem to be bugging us, seem to not be getting anywhere. It could be just down to finances, that you can't seem to get any more money out of work. So what is it that's causing that? Are you blocked by the style that you use? Do you need to change your method that you're using to obtain money? You could be just doing everything wrong. Most people, when they look for money, they just go for the quick kill, and they don't quite understand that there's always a method to getting something. And once you've understood the method and you repeat it, then things just keep on coming in abundance rather than being drip fed money left, right and center, because you haven't structured a method. So I am sure there is plenty of people out there who will explain the methods that you can use. Ordinarily, I could sit here and explain a method, but I'm not here now to talk about all these great methods. I'm not going to draw you in with a carrot and say, this is what you need to be doing. Join me next week and anything like that. Because all I want to do now is get you to understand that it's you, but it's not you. That is the problem. So you need to find out what the problem is through, like I say, talking to people, talking to coaches who will draw out what the actual problem is. And sometimes it's not what you think it is, and it's something just before that. So that's why people talk about going into hypnosis and going into some sort of regression, is to try to find something that might be deeper further back. So, and also psychiatrists and psychologists use that in sessions to take you back to when you were a child, and this is where it came from. But there's many other styles as well that you can find information about why things aren't working in your life without using the Freud techniques. So what we tend to be looking at is the holistic approach. We need to look at the now and the whole. So when I say that, I mean the whole person, right? Everything about you and your life. So we don't delve back and say, when you were 2, can you remember this, that, and the other? And sometimes that works. I'm not knocking Freud, but I certainly wouldn't follow him myself. There are better people, better psychologists and psychiatrists and theologists out there than Freud, like Carl Jung. So I do prefer his teachings. I think they're really good. He does do that same approach of the here and the now, and let's talk about what is stopping you right now. So what I would like you to do is just start looking at these ideas. I mean, I can leave you a link to a microphone repair shop so you can get in touch with me if you wish. Or there's, like I said, there's many people out there, many practitioners and coaches who can help you understand why you are not progressing in life itself. So, because when you actually sit there, most times you end up moping and getting angry that you're in a position that you don't want to be in. And it's the old saying, dress for the job you want, not the one that you're in. So that changes your mindset straight away. So if I wanted to be into management, I was working in an office and I was just the lackey, whatever, I would be looking at the way I look and the way I act. I would change them things, right? And people would see a different frame around me. So I wouldn't go into work wearing my Suicide Squad t-shirt. I would be saying to myself, if I want to be in management, what does management look like? What do they dress like? What do they act like? Where do they drink? Who do they chat to? So sometimes the chatting to can be a little bit harder, because if you're not in the club, you're not in the club. So you can change what you can change. You can change the way you dress. If you're going in wearing t-shirt and jeans and a pair of trainees, start thinking about, well, maybe I'll wear some nice trousers, a nice white shirt, or you don't necessarily need to wear a tie, but you're going to change how you look, right? Changing how you look changes people's perceptions about you. Okay, so not everybody, but you're not interested in everybody. You're interested in moving up the ladder. So you're interested in the perceptions that is given out to those above you. Okay. And when I say above you, I'm just talking by above you by title. So you could be a senior managed worker or something. So a senior manager in an office, but you want to be higher than that. Okay. So when you want to go higher, it's not all about suddenly needing to learn better things in the office to try to get there, although that is something that you can do. But it's also, like I say, it's about perception. It's about how you look. If you look like you're doing this and your hands are everywhere trying to fix things, people will notice you in an annoying way. So they won't see you as, this guy's really, motivated. He's gonna get there. But the way people see you, if you're all over the place, is that you're manic, you're unorganized, you're not focused. So you need to, like I say, reframe the way that you work and have it be seen. And this will start putting you forward. It will give you more motivation, because when you dress a certain way, you tend to act a certain way anyway. There's a lot of ways there. And this is definitely 100%, because a lot of our attention is done by visual. So we can hear things, but when we hear things, we have to look. We'll look to see where the sound is coming from. We look to see who's given this amazing speech. We want to look and see who's this amazing singer or musician. So the first thing is, when we hear something, is we need to look. So that means all the information that we're going to be taking in is going to be through what we see. So your attention would be drawn to suddenly the way you dress, the way you act, the way you speak. Okay, I know that it shouldn't be an issue, the way you talk, but unfortunately, this is how society is. These people all the way up on the top floor would like you to speak a certain way, act a certain way, even walk a certain way. And I know it's annoying, but it's like, if you need to learn something about a subject that you really don't want to learn, but if you learn it and you get it, you move up the ladder, then it's the same. You're going to have to play the game to get there. And when I say play the game, what I mean is referring back to the original statement: dress for the job you want, not the one that you're in. Okay? And it starts from there and it builds up from there. You will be noticed, but you have to change how you operate. So no twiddling around, not knowing where you are, no coming in late. You know, the fact is, you should always be 10 minutes early, and no leaving early. You have to push yourself out there and do the things necessary, but it's got to be structured. So it's got to be in that order. Let's start with your attitude to how you dress. And believe you me, the minute you change how you look, your own perception with other people and life will also change. Have you ever done that when you're going out? You come in, get rid of all the smelly clothes you've had on all day, get in the shower, get out, right? Ladies, makeup on. Guys, just get dressed. But when you're getting dressed, it's that crispness of the clothes, fresh. You're looking amazing, and you're doing that because you want to attract people's attention of how great you look. So if you're prepared to do all that to go out for one night, that's going to cost you a few quid. Why not do it every day in work? Make that extra effort to be noticed for the right reasons. Okay? So I'm going to leave you with that one. I would like you to try it. It's not going to wreck your day. If anything, if you honestly believe that this doesn't work, that this change of mindset and attitude to how you dress, then the worst thing can happen is everyone's going to go, "You're looking smart today, fab." Okay, you might end up meeting a partner because you look amazing, and you might end up getting married and you got 2.5 kids. Where's the half kid? Where does 0.4 come from, or 0.5? Anyway, so you could end up, everything in your whole life can change just by one thing that you've changed. So what I'd like you to do is just try that, give it a go. Okay, change your image. But also remember this, right? You are who you are. I am not expecting people who, I used to be into punk music and everything when I was a teenager, and I used to dress like a punk, with all, I've still got the hair, I think. But the idea is that I wasn't looking for a job in management. And although now, if I did, and I was still dressing like a punk, they couldn't refuse me the job because of the way I look, because they're not allowed to. But they will find another reason that they can get away with legally to not give you the job if they don't like the way that you dress. So these are very simple, understandable, fundamental strategies on being able to move forward, get rid of the block. The other ones are a Zoom, a sit down, a face-to-face, whichever way, chat, discussion with a coach to start looking at your life and why it's not going forward. Talk about what are the blockages in your life. Sometimes you don't realize it, and within 5 minutes of chatting to somebody, it clicks, because it's like the statement of looking outside the box. Most people, when they look in at the box and you are there, they can see the things that you've done every single day and never realized it's been wrong. So another set of eyes, fresh eyes on the job, tend to help you, because that's how coaches work. They're a new set of eyes. They're talking about things that you may have spoken about all the time, but they're looking at their perception. So the reason it works is because what they see and what they're looking for are not the ways that other people are when you're talking to them, like your mates. Okay, mates and family come at you in a different way because you are family. So sometimes there could be things that need to be directed and hard hitting, and they don't want to say it. And they don't want to say it because you're friends or your family. But when you've got somebody else who is looking at the same problem, they will not necessarily happily, but need to be straight with you and explain the reason why this isn't working is because da 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 da. And you find this works a lot better. It's like when people say, I don't want to talk about a certain subject with family, but you speak to a stranger, because you can speak to a stranger because you'll never see them again if you don't want to. That is totally up to you. So sometimes it can be easier. Plus, a stranger will listen more and more intently, like a coach does, because it's new information, it's fresh. You haven't spoken the same words and the same story time after time after time. And sometimes if family and friends hear that, that's when they can drift away from you with those emotions and say, we've heard this all before, you're doing nothing about it. So now you're going to start doing things about it. And it's how you move forward. Yes, you can turn around and say, oh yeah, but if I get a coach or anyone like that, it's going to cost me money. Well, you want to progress in life, then sometimes you have to put your hand in your pocket. If you want to go on holiday for 2 weeks in Spain, it's cost you a silly amount of money. Could you not have said, do you know what? Instead of spending them hundreds and hundreds or thousands of pounds on that holiday, maybe I will strip it down to 1 week local in your own country. There's plenty of places that are just as nice, and the money that you're saving, you can put away and you can use that to make your life go further. Okay, impress your life. Now, I'm sure there's billions of people now saying, no, I'm not giving up a holiday. This is bull, whatever. What you get out of a holiday is you spend lots of money, and especially if you've got kids, you spend more than lots of money. And you come back, it's a nightmare getting there. It's a nightmare coming back. You've got to pack, you've got to unpack, you've got to wash all the clothes. You've got to do this, do that. You probably end up getting back a little bit late, and then you realize you've only got 2 hours sleep before you go into work because someone decided that the minute they get back, they're going to be in work the next day. Not really a transitional period there, is there? You're straight back into work. So your stress is all starting to bubble away. It's not healthy. But if I said to you, well, you've spent all this money to go on a holiday, which I'm sure you deserve to go. I'm not arguing about that. But if you're struggling to pay for something that may be just missing that holiday or delaying it till you've got more money saved up, putting it on the back burner till you've got all the money saved up and put away, and it's not affecting your day-to-day life, and then use that money to invest in yourself, because that is exactly what you do. You're going to invest that money in yourself by remapping, re-educating, reframing you and your mind into better things, into going forward, getting rid of whatever fears that you have moving forward. And when I say fears, I'm not literally talking about spiders and things like that, but the actual fears of some people fear success because they're afraid of what might be on top of that success. Have I got to work 20 million extra hours and all this? I'll never be getting home and my wife's going to divorce me. So obviously this would have been already aligned in your life. If you haven't already decided that I want to go for a better job, a better salary, a better way of life, and you haven't said, how could this possibly affect me? Then I can only say that you're a bit of an idiot. Because before you do anything, you need to know how it's going to affect your life. It's no use being an airline pilot in another country just because you can fly when you live in a different country and you never see your family. But you say, yeah, but I've moved up the ladder, literally, and I've got more money. Yeah, but you're not there. So your family values, your family is going to start breaking down. So what have you achieved? So when I say become richer, it's not always about a finance. It's not necessarily something you put in your hands and it's full of dollars, yen, pounds, euros, francs. It's not necessarily that. You could have an amazing wealth within a family. So most people do. Most people would say, I will happily work for a lower wage as long as I can spend more time with my family. Some people see it a different way. I'd rather have a better wage and not see so much of my family. Right? Some people are like that. We're just designed like that. If we were all the same, then it would be amazing production wise, but everyone will get bored really, really quickly. And it's can't have everyone being the same because it's boring. Let's face it. The excitement out of life is the fact that so many people are different. So on that, before I start getting off track, is before you decide, just the same as if you was going to start a business and you do a business plan, all you've got to do is think, how is this going to affect me? Can I do this and it not break down my marriage, destroy the family or anything like that? And then once you decided I can actually do that with that amount of time, I can use that little bit of money, explain to the family we're shortening the holiday because we are now going to build that life in a better scale. It's not just a very, very slow curve going up. It's going to be a quicker curve going up. And this is what's so important. Okay. You need to, as we talk about holistic approaches, you have to look at the whole. Don't just look at, I'm going to go for that job and I'm going to increase my income. You need to say, well, how's it going to affect things? And that's the holistic approach, looking at everything as a whole, not just as in a direction, a one direction. So you are looking at it and also how it's approachable. And then as you're coming out of it, how it's going to affect things. So it's really important to do that. And you can do it as a vision board. You can get a piece of paper and draw things. You can write it down, whichever method works best for you. You can do it as a scenario, get your family involved, right? As a bit of a game, dad's pretending he's rich. The kids won't believe you, but you can turn it into some form of entertainment. If not, if you can't approach it in that way, you can do some brainstorming around the table with either your mates, your family, or just your partner. You may even, if your kids are a little bit older, you might be able to involve them and say, what are your thoughts? Because the young minds, they're thinking about so many different things. So while you're thinking about doing that, they've already thought about everything else that you're not thinking about, and which is great. Doesn't mean you're going to take on board what they say, but it does mean that you're getting feedback from so many different sources because they are different ages, they're different mindsets, they see life differently, and that makes it much more important and workable. So you're not just stuck with the standard brainstorming you would expect with adults. You're going to get fresh info, and that's the important side of it. So I'm not going to waffle on anymore. My name's Carl James. I am from Carl James Resolve Coaching. You can find me online at www.resolve-coaching. I hope you have a wonderful time and I haven't stressed it out too much. You can send me an email. You can go onto the site, send me an email. There's also a booking page for free information, and it's a discovery call. So we can have a Zoom and have a chat if there's anything you need to talk about, or if you want to go down the road of I need help and support with divorce, separation, breakup, or you need a life coach, or you need some hypnotherapy to help you through a certain situation or issue that's going on with you. Failing that, have a good day or a good night, and speak to you later.